Hello, everybody. For this week's Campus Recreation and Virtual Programming episode, we are going to look into aquatics. Now, with it being the summertime, warm weather, and, want to get into the water, the cold water to cool off, refresh, to exercise, I thought it would be a good time to review some tips with you all to keep you safe and healthy throughout the summertime. So, I devised a few slides for you all that will review some important swim safety tips to remember this summer. These are tips that I have got through research and also some tips that I have developed through my time working in the aquatics industry. So I hope this is an informational experience for you all and that it's something that you can utilize throughout the summertime to keep you and your family, friends safe. So the first tip I have for you is to swim where there is a lifeguard. Lifeguards are trained to recognize distressed swimmers, so it's always good to be nearby a trained expert to keep yourself safe if you're not a very strong swimmer, or to keep your family members, children safe if they are also not strong swimmers as well. Also, just having a lifeguard present will make things a lot more safer in the event that the water current is a little too strong if you're out in the ocean or the lake. You don't want to be in a situation where you're in open water by yourself or surrounded by people who also don't know how to swim, and there isn't a trained expert on scene to push you to safety. So just always, always, always make sure that there is a trained lifeguard present to just make sure the area is safe and secure. Additionally, though, lifeguards know how to perform CPR and handle emergency situations if and when they occur. They know how to use an AED, know how to perform first aid. So all in all, it's just always good to have a lifeguard present. With that said, though, think twice before entering water that has no lifeguard coverage. So lakes and oceans. Just know the risks of going out into open water that is not properly patrolled by a lifeguard. You're just putting yourself in risk if something does happen and there's no one there to watch you. And then finally, lifeguards are not babysitters. I've seen this a lot during my experiences as a lifeguard. Um, People or parents, family members, guardians, babysitters drop kids off at the pool or put kids in the pool and walk away, and they expect the lifeguard to babysit them and make sure that they don't get into any trouble when they're in the water. But lifeguards are there to make sure that the entire pool is safe. They can't specifically watch one individual person. So for all the parents out there, guardians, babysitters, please always have at least one eye on a child. And if they are really small, be in an arm's length away so that you can handle a situation if they happen to fall, go under the water. Just always, always, always be close to your children and always make sure that you're watching them and don't just rely on the lifeguards to do that for you. The next tip I have is to stay hydrated. So it's easy to forget to not drink water when swimming in cold water. You might think that you're in cold water, so that's getting you hydrated, or won't make you feel too hot from the sun. But when you're in the water swimming or playing, you're losing fluids from the sweat and from the heat from the sun. So it's always good even not on hot days, but in general, just to drink a lot of water throughout the day. It's just a really easy, healthy thing that you can do, but especially on warmer, hot days, you always want to make sure you're drinking lots of fluid so that you don't become dehydrated, which could lead to cramps, headaches, illnesses, or in extreme cases, death. So just make sure that you always have a water bottle nearby, something to replenish yourself after you get out of the water or after you complete an exercise session. Just always have water nearby. And the next step I have is to wear sunscreen. So we all know it, and we probably all have had them in the past. Sunburns are the worst. They can really ruin a day. They can ruin a vacation. So just always make sure before you're going out into the sun to lather yourself up or family members up at least 20 minutes beforehand, especially getting before getting into the water. Um, it'll be good to buy sunscreen sun lotions rather than sprays, because you can control the amount of lotion that you're putting on your body at one time rather than the sprays are just spraying you with a base layer. um, and you want to make sure that you're reapplying at least every 90 minutes. Really focus on the areas that obviously the sun is touching your body. You know, you can certainly wear clothing or sunglasses, hats, bathing suits for additional protection. And if you do that, that's great. You can also sit in the sun or sit in the shade to protect yourself even more. So in addition to making sure that you're drinking water to stay hydrated, you also want to make sure you're putting on sunscreen, especially when the sun gets even more powerful as we progress in the summertime. Another tip that many of you might not think about, this really goes to smaller kiddie pools, to always empty them after each use and to store them upside down. Um, by doing this, it will help prevent accidental drownings, especially if you have little ones or pets that go out in your backyard without supervision. It just, for safety reasons, really easy to do so. Just empty out the pool after each use and then just put it upside down. If you just empty the water but keep the pool in its regular position, it could still fill up from rainwater. So that could also cause a situation or accidental drownings if you just don't put the pool upside down. So I think this is a unique tip because you might not think about it, and it's maybe not as common as the ones that I already mentioned, but it's just one to think about if you have one of these pools at your house. The next one is a big one, and one that I see a lot, and at any pool at any time of year, but especially over the summertime, as we are, in the water a little bit more often than we would be during the year. So, air-filled or foam pools are not safety devices. And so what these equipments are, water wings, pool noodles, inner tubes, beach balls. They aren't safety devices. They aren't designed to keep swimmers safe or to keep children afloat. They aren't designed as flotation devices. This, in addition, is the same for dolphin tails. I think it's a relatively newer product, something that a child may put over their legs and makes them look like a dolphin. And this is a really, really not safe product to buy because it limits the way that a child can move their legs in the water. And especially if they aren't a good swimmer, they can go under the water because they are being restricted by this dolphin tail. So this is not a safe toy to buy. So just if you're in the market to buy one, just think twice before you do so. But going back to the flotation or these toys that I mentioned previously, they are fun to play with, but they aren't designed to keep a child afloat. So if you're looking for something to do that, something that will help a child float in the water a little bit better, look into buying a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket. They are specifically designed to keep a child above the water, keep them safe in the water. Obviously, you want to make sure that the life jacket fits them correctly. You don't want the life jacket to go over their head when they're under or when they're in the water. I see this also a lot of the times when a life jacket's a bit too big for a child. You want to make sure it fits them properly so that they don't look like a turtle going into a shell, and that's not safe either. So Just make sure you have the correct measurements of your child when you're in the market to buy a life jacket. And if they are using a life jacket in the water, please be close to your child, because if they're using a life jacket, that just means to a lifeguard that they don't know how to swim. And so it's just better to be safe with a parent or a guardian or someone nearby to keep an eye on them when they're in the water with a life jacket. And to wrap things up, here are just a few additional tips. Some of this I have already mentioned, but I just really want to make sure that you all understand the importance of all these tips. A lot of these tips are from experience, and I will review the last bullet point when I get to it at the end. But always keep an eye out on your child, as I mentioned. Lifeguards aren't babysitters. Never drink and swim. If you're drinking and swimming, you're becoming impaired and your judgment decreases. And so you might think that you can do certain things that you can't, like holding your breath for a long time or swimming out really far into the water and then realizing I don't know how to swim. So just never drink and swim. It just is not a good combination. Know the weather conditions and forecasts before swimming or boating. Obviously, you don't want to get out on the water or into the water and then a storm is about to roll through. Obviously, um, uh, storms happen a lot more frequently over the summertime, as it gets a lot hotter out. So always look at weather.com or wherever you like to look at weather before you go to a facility or a location that has water. Don't let swimmers hold their breath for extended periods of time. I see this a lot, especially with children, trying to hold their breath for an entire length of the pool or hold their breath to swim at the bottom of a swimming well. Just it's not a good thing. It's not safe. It puts a child in harm's way. And so if you see this with any child, it doesn't have to be your own. Just have them stop immediately as soon as you see it. And this goes to anyone really, but especially with adults. Learn how to swim. It's never too late, and it's always a good skill to have and a good skill to know, so that you can protect your children, you can protect yourself in the water. And also, if you put your children in, it's good for them to learn at a young age as well. And with that, learn CPR. It's just a good skill to know, regardless of if you're going to be in the water or if you're just at work. Situations that involve CPR happen anywhere at any time. So it's a good skill to know, and it's a good skill to understand, especially when you're swimming or around water. A very common thing that happens in the summertime are bee stings. I've seen it many times, at the pools that I've worked at, being outside, around any sort of, grass or whatever. Bees are always there, and I've seen many children get stung as a lifeguard or just working outside. So just know how to treat a bee sting. So remove the stinger, clean the area, cold compress, and medication. And then the last one, it's a little bit of a joke, but I have worked at many outdoor pools over the summertime in my lifetime, and it's a very common thing that I've seen where the snack bar closes a bit early, but the pool remains open, and then parents decide, hey, let's get pizza from the local pizza shop, and the pool's about to open like 10 to 15 minutes, and then the lifeguards will have to stay there until the pizza arrives or until they're done eating their pizza, and all the lifeguards want to do is go home after a long day out in the sun. So just never be that family. Make sure you order your pizza a little bit early, so that everyone can leave at the right time. So those are the tips that I have for you to keep you, yourself, your family, friends safe in and around the water this summer. I hope this was very informational for you, and I'll be back on in a couple of weeks where I plan on reviewing the Summer Olympics and taking a look at specifically the swim team. So until then, enjoy your summer.